Good noon, everyone, and welcome back to PPS Theory Sessions. We are continuing our last unit, which is file management. We have already started this unit and we discussed few initial part. So within this unit, we are about to consider introduction part and few functions, library functions related to file handling, right? And just in a previous session when we start this unit, we had gone through that what is file and what are the basic operations on the file, like opening, closing, naming, and writing or reading that file content and all. And for that, we do have few library functions available in C, which is fopen and fclose to open and close your file. Then to read and write your data, depending on what data, you may go for different methods like get C, put C, or f get C, f put C. Syntaxes are same. Then there is get W, put W. So a word is the integer number. Then if you want to have a different kind of data to be read or written, then you may go for fprintf and fscanf, right? Just if you want to jump to a different location, then you have fseek. If you want to know what is the current position, then you may go for ftell. And from wherever you are, if you just want to jump to the starting position, you may go for rewind. So these are the number of methods, functions available. And later what we have done was we have started looking at those functions one by one. So we have seen what is fopen and how to open a file with different modes. R for read, W for write, A for append, right? Read, write, and append. If you are opening your file in read mode, you can only read that file. You will not be able to write anything within that file. Okay, and when you are opening a file in read mode, if that file does not exist, then fopen will return error. Fopen will return error. Okay. Now, if you are opening a file in write mode, then you will only be able to write something within that file. If file does not exist, then it is going to create a new file automatically. Append mode will also be append mode will give you the append option. So it is just like write mode. You can only write in that file. You cannot read anything from that file. Okay, and whatever you write, all those data will be appended. It will be going to the last position of your file. And if file does not exist, it will create a new one. So that's what R, W, and A mode. So as you know that read mode will not allow you to write mode will not allow you to read, and so on. So if you want to do both the operations in a single file, on a single file, then you might want to go for R plus, W plus, and A plus. Okay, which allows you to go for both read and write operations simultaneously with a single file pointer. Okay, with a single file pointer. So we have 6 different modes which we can use at the time of opening a file within the program. Then we had seen this example. We have gone for fclose method, which is going to close your file, right? And we have also seen get C and put C methods. Get C is going to get one character from the file, from the current location. When you open your file pointer will be pointing to the initial place, 0th position. And for the first time when you use get C, it is going to give you the first character of your file. Now remember, whenever you use get C or put C function, it is going to update your file pointer to the next position. So next time when you read your file, you will have the second character, and so on. So it is continuously going to read your file until it reaches to the end of the file. Now when your file completes, at that time you can have EOF, end of file marker. Now EOF is also a constant defined in the C itself. So when you iterate anything at that time, you can also check whether it is end of file or what. We have seen the example of this thing, get C and put C. Put C is a function which is going to put one character into the file at current position, wherever your file pointer is pointing to, at that place it will write that character. So remember, everything is happening at the current place. और वो place कहाँ से मिलेगा? File pointer जो आपने लिया है, variable, that variable is pointing to somewhere. Now actually that file pointer fp variable is kind of a structure. Okay, file is a structure and it contains multiple things, and from those multiple things, one is the pointer, current position maintainer. Okay, so that's what we have seen, and we have also seen one program example here. So this is what we have written in previous lecture. We've gone for two files here. We open character1.txt in read mode, and then we have gone for character2.txt in write mode. So it has automatically created character2.txt file when it was not there. But second time when we run this code in a write mode, it has overwritten the existing data. Now if you don't want to overwrite it, then you may go for append mode. And because of append mode, when we run this code one more time, we were having that data twice in the file. Okay, so one time Marwadi University MEFGI, it is already there, and second time when I run, it has appended the same data in this file, right? So we have opened both the files, and then we have a while loop to continuously read some data. So we are going to read that data from first file, which is fp1. We store that character in ch variable, and then we compare that ch variable with EOF, end of file. Okay, we compare that character with EOF marker. If it is not EOF, then we put that character in the second file, and once we are done, we close both the files here. So that's what our program is. Okay, well, Vyom is saying your voice is breaking. Well, I don't know, I have enough bandwidth right now. If that's the case with others, they can post in a chat box. Okay, so this is what we have covered till now. Now let us go back to slides and we go through the upcoming content now. Okay, so the next thing that we want to have a look at is get W and put W. Okay, so look, just like get C and put C, you also have get S and put S function. Even fgetS and fputS functions are available. So like get C put C reads or writes character, getS putS function will read or write string. Okay, then to work with numbers, we have get W and put W method. Okay, so get W is just like get C, it's an input function. Put W is the output function, and it works with integer data. Okay, so this function can only handle integer data at a time. So if you want to work with strings, then these two are not something that you require. Okay, yeah, so get W and put W function you can use if you want to work with integer data. So very rarely you'll find the use of this thing. If only you want to write some numbers into your file or read some numbers from the file, then and then only this is required. Okay, So it is used to read integer value from a file. Get w function will read it, and put w function is going to write that integer data into the file. And the syntax is similar to get c and put c, right? Put w function will have integer as a first parameter and file pointer as a second parameter, whereas get w, okay, will require file pointer as a parameter and it will return one integer value. And just like get c, both these functions, once it has read or written the number, okay, it will update your file pointer to the next position. Same syntax is no change, just functions are changed here. So you need one file pointer, you have to open your file and then you can write it or you can read something. No change there. And when you are reading a file, if you reach up to the end of your file, then there is an EOF marker. Okay. So nothing new in get w and put w method. Let's have a look at next two methods and then we will go for some program. So next thing is we want to have a look at fprintf and fscanf. It is much similar to printf and scanf, printing something and scanning something. But till now, printf and scanf functions we have used to read or write some data from the standard input-output window, which is console. But now what we want is we want to have input-output functions which will read or write something from to or from file, correct? And that's why we have fprintf and fscanf. Fscanf is the input function, right? Input function which is going to read data from the file. Fprintf is the output function which is going to write something into the file. And when you are working with these functions, it can handle group of data. So anything you can read, anything you can write. Doesn't matter whether it is string or number or what. Whether it is floating point number, still it works. Because just like printf and scanf, we have all those %d, %s, %f kind of thing here. Okay. So fprintf function is used to write data. Fscanf function is going to use for reading a data. Now how to work with it? So this is the syntax. Okay. Just like normal printf and scanf, you have control string and the list of variables. In both these functions, you will have control string and list of variables. But along with that, have a look at this place. The first parameter is your file pointer here. Okay. If you are using fprintf or fscanf, first parameter you are going to pass, which is your file pointer, and after that normal control string and list of variables. So fp is the file pointer, control string is the format of your input or output, and the list is just the variables or constants or strings, whatever you want, right? So the extra parameter we have is this thing, file pointer added here. Remaining syntax is same. Yes, Ajay is asking fscanf will require ampersand. Yes, it is. Okay. Ajay is asking whether we are going to use ampersand or not. We will use ampersand for all the variables which is not a string. Okay. So your integer, character, float, all those variables does require ampersand sign before the variable name. Fine. We'll see few examples also. So let's have a look at the example. And here you will be more clear, Ajay. Okay. So first example is for fprintf. Fprintf requires file pointer as the first parameter. So whatever file you have opened with WA or W plus A plus mode, write append mode, you can use fprintf because it is going to write something in the file. Now what it will write? So it is going to write something in this format. It will write your data in this format. The first thing is your string. Second thing is your integer number. And the third one is going to be the float number. And all these three, okay, remember all these three are separated by space. Now that's what the format we have decided, okay? So %s space %d space %f. So that defines your format. Now what is the actual data? %s will be replaced by name, %d will be replaced by age, and %f will be replaced by 7.5 floating point value. Okay, so that's the format, and that's the actual data I'm going to write inside my file. And remember, you can also use /n/t here in the control string. /n will create a new line in your file. Okay, so that's how you write something in your file. Now what if you want to read this data or this kind of data? So well, you can use fscanf. First parameter is the file pointer, don't forget, and then your control string. So %s, it is going to read one string until it gets space. It is going to read that entire string and it will save that string inside this name variable. Now as long as it is a string, we do not have ampersand sign. Okay, and the next one is %d. %d will be stored inside age, and as long as it is integer, okay, we have ampersand sign just before age variable. We have ampersand sign just before age variable. Okay, well, few of you are still complaining about voice. I'll slow down my speed a little bit, okay, because we don't have any other option here. So I'll slow down a little bit and we'll cover these points slowly. Okay, you can also read my content in the slide, and if you have any ambiguity or any confusion, you can write in the chat box. So this is what the format we are going to follow when we are using these functions, fscanf, fprintf and all. Okay, and just like earlier one, whenever your file ends, you have end of file. Okay, you have end of file EOF marker, which will indicate that okay, file is completed, and then there is nothing more inside the file which you can read. Fine. Okay, so this one is the example of fprintf, fscanf. So now let's have a look at few more functions, ftell, fseek, and rewind also. So we will go through the entire theory part right now, and later we'll have a look at the program. Okay. So next one is the ftell. Now ftell, tell me what is your position. That's the question we are making. So ftell function is going to give you the current position in the file where your file pointer is pointing to. And the syntax is very much simple. Function and pass in your parameter, a file pointer as a parameter. Okay. And it is going to give you the position in terms of how many bytes you have already read. Okay. कितने bytes आपने already read कर लिए हैं. So it is going to give you a number that's going to be the number of bytes you have read. So fp is the file pointer. It returns the type, which is long. Remember, ftell function is going to return you a number. That number is going to be of the type long. Remember, because your file may be having a size of, let's say, 5 megabytes, 5 MB. Then that file size will have those many positions. So when you reach up to the end, okay, it is going to be more than 5000. Yeah. So that's within the range of integer. Okay, let's think about, you have a file which is 70 MB, 70 MB size, 70 megabytes. Okay, let us consider that my file is of 70 MB. So the positions will be more than 70,000, right? And this you cannot have inside integer data. Okay, you cannot have this as an integer range. 32-bit operating system integer range is what? If you even go for positive numbers only, then also it is 65535. This is the maximum data you can store inside integer value. Correct? That's the reason the position in the file will be of type long integer. Okay, it's going to be integer because there is nothing like half position. Point number one. Second point, position can never be negative. Okay, positions can never be negative. So this is going to be long integer value, and to be specific, it is going to be the positive value. So ftell will return a number which is of type long, gives you the current position in bytes. As I told you, in bytes, how many bytes you have read, and it will be calculated from the starting of the file. And as a reference, starting position is the 0th position. First position in your file will be 0. So you'll start with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on, just like array. Okay, just like array. And in case there is any error, only in that case ftell will return a negative number. So whenever you have some negative number as a return data, you can interpret that as an error given by ftell function. So with this understanding, we can say value of n is a relative offset from the current position or 0th position from the file. Okay, so this is ftell function, which will just tell you where are you at current time, or at present, where is your file pointer. Okay, so that's ftell. Next is fseek. If you want to jump to the other position, okay, then you are going to use fseek function. Fseek is used to set a new position anywhere within your file. Set the new position. Syntax simple, fseek, then your file pointer, then the offset and the position. So remember, fp is the file pointer. What is offset? Offset is the number of positions to be moved. How many positions you want to jump. Okay, how many bytes you want to jump. Okay, so let's say I want to jump 5 bytes, or I want to jump 10 bytes or 15 bytes. How many bytes you want to jump? That is your offset. And that offset will be calculated from the current position. No, that offset will be considered or calculated from the given position as a third parameter. So we also need to pass in the third parameter, because fseek is not referencing the current position. Fseek is not referencing the current position. Third parameter we have to pass here. Okay, third parameter we need to pass, which is the reference position. From where? So that reference position can be 0 to refer the starting of the file, can be 1 to refer the current position, and it can be 2 if you want to refer the last position, end of the file. So that position can be the different references, starting of the file, current position of the file, or ending of the file. And your offset may be positive or may be negative. Positive refers to the forward jump, नेगेटिव रेफर्स टू द बैकवर्ड जंप. ओके, अगर आगे बढ़ना है तो आप पॉजिटिव ऑफसेट दोगे, अगर वापस जाना है तो आप नेगेटिव ऑफसेट दोगे. So can anyone tell me what should happen? Let's say if my current position, let's say my current position is 0. I'm at 0 right now. I've just opened the file and then I'm writing fseek. I'm passing my file pointer. Then as a second parameter I give 5, and as the third parameter I pass 1. So can anyone tell me how many bytes I'm going to jump in which direction? What do you think? What it is going to do? You have your reference at your screen also. Yeah, so it is going to jump 5 bytes. In what direction? Forward or backward? Forward jump. Because it is positive, it is a forward jump. And what is the reference? Yeah, as a reference position I have given 1. 1 is the current position and my current position is 0. So because of that reason I'm going to be do a forward jump of 5 bytes from 0th place, right? So that's how you can interpret this thing. We have few more examples also. So fseek is a function that returns 0 when the operation is successful. Okay, and it returns -1 if there is any error. So if -1 is the return value, you can say there was an error, we cannot jump. Otherwise, return value will be 0. And few examples here. So position is 0, which means starting of the file. Jump is also 0, means from the starting of the file you want to jump nothing. So this defines go to the starting of your file, go to the starting place. So even with fseek you can jump to the starting position with offset 0, reference 0. Now if you say reference 1 and jump 0, then stay at the current place. कहीं पे नहीं जाना है, because reference is 1, current position, offset is 0. Now if offset is 2, position is 2, which means end of the file, and offset is 0, then it says go to the end of your file. And just like that way, you can have any reference, let's say current place, from current place, position is 1, offset is something negative. So from the current place, you want to go backward direction m bytes. So it goes backward direction m bytes. Fine. So you may go for any parameters depending on your requirement. You first need to decide from where, what is your reference you want to jump. Starting of the file, current position of the file, or ending of the file. That will be your third parameter. Then you decide what amount of memory you want to jump, how many bytes. So that's going to be the size of or the number in the second parameter. And at the end you decide whether it will be on the forward direction or backward direction. So that defines the sign of your second parameter, positive or negative, right? So that is fseek. Well, Nirmal is asking, sir, can you upload yesterday's lecture starting of this chapter? Well, I've already uploaded, okay, not yesterday's but Saturday's lecture, and I have uploaded it, so you can refer to that lecture in your student portal. Okay, so we have seen fseek, and now let's have a look at the last method of this unit, rewind, and after that we'll see a few examples. Very simple one. Doesn't matter where you are in your file. If you have decided to jump to the starting place, you just need to call one method with one parameter, rewind file pointer. That's it. And it is going to set the starting position of your file. It is going to set your position to the beginning of the file. So fp is just a file pointer. And you'll need this thing if you want to work with your file multiple times. एक बार रीड कर लिया, वापस से स्टार्टिंग में जाना है, दूसरी बार रीड करना है, right? Or maybe let's say you go for linear search in your file for multiple words. आप फाइल के अंदर से एक से ज़्यादा वर्ड सर्च करना चाहते हो, तो आप क्या करोगे? पहले आप पूरी फाइल रीड करोगे, पहला वर्ड ढूंढोगे, then again you will go to the starting place and you will search your entire file for the second word, and then repetitive process. अगर आपको 5 वर्ड अपनी फाइल में से सर्च करने हैं तो आप 5 बार उस फाइल को रीड करोगे, and you need 4 times rewind function, right? So that's where we end. Actually, we end this unit also. Now, as per the GTU syllabus, it was said that go for introduction part and few functions. But what we have done is we have gone for f open, f close, get c, put c, get s, put s also, get w, put w, f printf, f scanf, f seek, f tell, rewind. All these methods we have seen. So now let's take an example of a program where we make use of f printf and f scanf. And after that, we will also see how we can jump to the place, jump to a next place, right? And we will see what is the current position if you want to have a look at, and how to rewind your file. Okay. So next thing, let's jump to the coding environment and let us have a look at few code now. So what I'll do here is I'll create a new file now, because we want to work with a different format of the data. Okay. So very quickly, inside the files folder, I'm going to create a new file, which is file2.c. And let's say this is the file example. Include stdio.h, and we'll go for int main, simple. Sorry. Look, this /n is not necessary. I'm doing this /n just to have some separation in the output window. Okay. Yeah, so basic skeleton is ready for me. Now, look, what I said, you will go for f printf and f scanf to write some different data types data. Let's say that we have one file where we are going to store all the student data. Oh, well, you already know how to work with the student data. We say that, okay, to work with the student data, we go for a structure. Okay. Let's say I want to go for student structure. Inside that, I'm going to have some integer data roll number. Okay. Then I'm going to have a character data like name, or let's say f name, first name, because it does not contain a space in between. Okay. अगर पूरा नाम एक साथ लूँगा तो बीच में space आ जाएगी. I don't want to have that space as a single record. So I'm going for f name and l name separately. F name and l name. Okay. So that's the character data. And one more thing we may have, let's say, let's say percentage or marks. That's going to be float. Okay. Float marks, total marks or marks, whatever. So this is going to be your structure, and you want to store this data into your file. So first of all, what we do is we create one variable so that we can have this data from user. Okay, we can have this data from user. We are going to ask user to enter this data. So struct student s. And how to ask user? So we simply say that, okay, printf. Now let us also ask user to how many student data you have. So first of all, we are going to ask user that how many students do you have? Okay, and we take that number scanf %d %n. So user will say that, okay, I have 5 student, or I have 10 student, or I have 15 student. So based on that number, we are going to iterate a loop. Now loop control variable is required, so I'll go for one more variable, I. So we say that I equals to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. And inside this for loop, we'll say that, okay, printf, please enter student 1 data. Okay, so I'll simply say that I plus 1. That's just a message, please enter student 1 data. And then we are going to ask all those structure members. So we'll say that, okay, printf roll number, okay, and we will scan that value as %d ampersand s dot roll. Okay, simple. What we are doing, s is the structure variable, and using this structure variable I'm accessing this roll data, and whatever user will give me, I'll store it inside this roll number. Along with that, what we'll do is we are going to ask few more data then. First name, last name, and marks. So second time we'll ask first name, and that's going to be s dot f name. Okay, I've removed ampersand sign. Then last name, L name is the member, remove ampersand sign, and then total marks, and here we'll say marks. Okay, so this is very much simple. We ask user to enter all the data, and we get those data and we store it inside variable s. We store it inside s. Now just to show you that, look, you can work with a structure, and once you have something inside a structure, you can put it in the file or you can read it from the file. That's what I want to show you. So what you will do is you'll create a function like, let's say you may go for creating a function, write student data, like this way, or you may go for a function which reads your data. So read student data. So you can create a separate functions to write your data into the file or read your data from the file. Now what should these functions will do? So when I say I'm going to write some data, once I get that data from a user, I'm going to write that data. So inside this function, I'm going to pass my structure variable s. I'm going to pass this structure variable s, which will go and write that data into the file. So inside this function, I should have struct student s, one variable, a parameter. Okay, and you can return nothing from this, or you can return integer value. Now what we should do is we return one integer value, 1 or 0. It's kind of a flag. What we do, we return 1 or we return 0, or maybe let's say we return one positive 1 or we return negative 1. Positive 1 is a positive flag, negative 1 is the negative flag. So if successfully you have written this data, then you returns 1. If there is any problem in writing your file, then you return -1. That's what we want to go. Look, I'm going a little bit of depth here, how a programmer should think of. पहले से बता दूं, फिर से बता दूं, अब हम कुछ इस तरह से सोच रहे हैं कि एक प्रोग्रामर को क्या करना चाहिए। कभी भी आप फंक्शन बनाते हो तो as a library function, if you are going to provide some functionality, तो आपको कुछ कुछ इंडिकेशन रिटर्न करना चाहिए। आपकी प्रोसेस सक्सेसफुल रही या कोई प्रॉब्लम था। So that's how you should think as a developer. So here we will be returning 1 or -1. Now what we need to do at this place? Well, we want to write something. So first of all, we will require a file pointer. And I'm going to open a file, f open. What I'll do is, let's say we will have students.txt file, and I'm going to append everything inside that file. What I'm going to do is I'm going to append that data. Whatever data user has given to us, we are simply going to append that data. Okay? So we have opened our file, and now we can work with that file. So now what should we do? If there is any error, remember, if there is any error in opening the file, then we can check whether our file pointer fp is having something or it is having a null value. If you remember, when we were discussing fopen function, at that time I told you, if file is opened successfully, then you will have a file pointer. Otherwise, this fopen is going to return null. It is going to return null, and null is something like false. It is something like false. So you can have this thing inside if condition. So if fp is something positive, then we can write our data. Okay, you can write your data into the file. Else, we say that file cannot be opened, so we simply return -1. Okay, otherwise at the end we are going to return 1. Now this, if you don't want to go for if and else both the section, then what you can do is you can have this much part inside if, you can have this thing after if, and you can omit this else. Now both are okay, both are equal. Just you need to change your file pointer negation sign. Okay, if file pointer is null, then we say cannot open file, will return -1. Otherwise we go and write our data into the file. Now how do we write it? So very simple. What we do is we have f printf function. F printf function. First parameter is file pointer fp. Second parameter is a control string. Now what do we want to write? A roll number, so it's a %d, then space, first name and last name, so %s space %s space, and then there are marks, so that's gonna be %f. From where you'll have this data, so it's gonna be s dot roll number. Second one is going to be s dot f name. Third one is going to be s dot l name, and the last one is going to be s dot marks. Okay, so all these values you are going to print in this format inside this file. Now once you are done, don't forget to close your file using fclose function. Now once I'm done with my one student, I also want to make a new line here, /n. Okay. So what we do here is when we call this function, we are going to pass it in if I can successfully write my data, then I'll have an acknowledgement data written. Okay. Else we can say, look, this is just the acknowledgement message. It is not going to be printed inside the file. Okay. So that's all what we have gone for today. We ask user how many students you have. We take that value. Now this thing, writing your data must be inside your for loop, remember, because in a next iteration we are going to read new student with the same structure variable. So I'm going to write that data inside this loop. अगर एक से ज़्यादा student है तो loop के अंदर रखना पड़ेगा. If you have only one student, you can have this anywhere within your program. So let's test this much code. We haven't scanned our file. We'll see that code in the next lecture, but हम इतना check करते हैं पहले. Yeah, thank you for pointing out this, Ayush. Correctly, Ayush has pointed out fname and lname should not be %d, it must be %s. So roll number is integer, first name, last name is a string, and marks, that's going to be %f. Okay, and let us save this code now. So when I run this code, it is going to ask me how many students I have. It will ask me the details of those students, and whatever detail I give, it is going to write that data inside students.txt file, which we do not have right now. Okay, it will create it. So let's run this code and test it out. So I'm going to run this code. Yeah, we have few warning, and the warning is what? Types specifier missing, default to integer. Yeah, it's okay. The return type I missed here in this read student data. I haven't written any return type. By default, it considers to be integer here. Okay. Yeah, so it asks me how many students do you have. So what I'll do is I'll say that, okay, I do have 2 students right now, 2. Then it is going to ask me the values. So first student 11 roll number, first name is A, last name is B, and the marks 99. So it says data return. It says data written, and if really that data has been written in the file, then as you can see, it has generated this file also, students.txt, and inside that file we have 11 AAA, right? We have 11 AAA BBB 99.00000. And one more thing, when I write that data, at last I have given /n. So inside my file, it has also generated the second line. /n bhi dal diya usne. Okay. So when I go for the second student, let's say 22 is the roll number, name is M, N, and the marks are 77, then it will write the second line inside my file. It will write the second line. As you can see, we have a second line. We have separate line for all the students here. Generally, this is how you create your log files. When you are going for any kind of process in your software, you want to log everything, then this is how you create a log. Every log object will have a set of parameters defined, just like student, number, just like roll number, first name, last name, and so on. Every log will have a particular parameters like what is the time, what type of error generated, what was the error message, who was the operator, and so on. And when you have all those data, you simply dump that data in a particular format like this into your log file. Okay. So this is the example of writing some specific structured data, right, in a file. In next lecture, what we are going to do is we will read this data again from the file, and we are going to print it in the table format or so, maybe. Okay. So we'll stop here today because it is time. We have to conclude this session here. In the next lecture, we are going to have a look at fprintf function to read that entire file, having this student structure. Yeah, thank you. Thank you everyone for being part of this session here. See you in the next lecture on Thursday. Bye-bye.